So, respected Chair Sri Lango of World Forum of Fisher People, Honorable our Minister, whom we are still waiting for, Radha Mohanji, distinguished participants from various organizations, institutions, and fishing communities, very distinguished government representatives. On behalf of the organizers, it's my pleasure to welcome you all in this 2 days national workshop on capacity building for the implementation of the voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries. In the Indian context, we are very much aware that fishery is an important sector of our economy, contributing to food security of millions and providing a livelihood for 14 million people in different fishing activities from pre to post-harvest stages in the country. Looking at the economy, we see that it is constituting about 6.3% of the global fish production, and this sector contributes to 1.1% of GDP and 5.15% of the agriculture GDP, it's approximately. Fishery also accounts for around 10% of the total exports of the country and nearly 20% of the agricultural exports. It is very important to highlight that majority of fishers in India do fall under the category of small scale. We do know, despite the valuable contribution to food security and to the development of nation, small-scale fisher peoples in India face plethora of challenges to live a life with dignity. They are considered among most vulnerable communities as they face extreme poverty and have very poor access to basic human rights facilities and entitlements. Among them, fisher women are facing worst challenges due to inherent gender-based discriminations. Poverty among this community is the result of multiple factors, ranging from poor access to education, health, other services, inequality, poor skill development opportunities, poor access to market and infrastructure, large-scale unemployment among youth, unhealthy and unsafe working conditions, non-compliance with labor standards, and even today we find child laborers in this sector, lack of diversified livelihood opportunities, unfair competition for common resources and grabbing of resources by outsiders, the resources which traditionally belong to small-scale fishers, pollution and environmental degradation, disasters, both natural and man-made, and increasing threats of climate changes. All these and many more make the sector and the people who live in this sector, who depend in this sector, increasingly vulnerable. It is imperative that special attention be given to this sector and to fisher people to help them develop in a sustainable way. Government of India and state governments, various departments have taken commendable steps to support fishery sector. But I think we all agree that more needs to be done for the small-scale fishers who are not only contributing immensely to food security but also ensuring future sustainability of this sector, as it is a proven fact that only small-scale fishery and small fishers can ensure sustainable and climate-resilient fishing practices, which indeed is the need of the hour. So in this context, and which also is a global context, not necessarily it's an Indian context, in this global context, FAO adopted voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries, as we have already listened, with a larger goal of eradication of poverty and sustainable development of small-scale fisheries with gender equity and equality. Now the time has come to ensure an equally participatory process for the implementation of these voluntary guidelines on small-scale fisheries and for ensuring a good monitoring mechanism. This national consultation in India is an opportunity for us to develop a roadmap on how to implement this guideline in our national context. So it goes without saying the government must take active steps to promote these guidelines in existing and upcoming policies and practices, strategies and legal frameworks. It is also important for all actors in this sector to collaborate for the larger goal of sustainable development. We do know, and as we have heard this morning, that at policy level challenges are there in India in particularly challenges related to policy coherence and coordination between various government departments dealing with small-scale fisheries issues. We hope this guideline will help us to overcome existing challenges from policy to implementation and monitoring, and will enable us to come together to strengthen the small-scale fisheries sector in India. We certainly look forward to the cooperation of all governments, UN institutions, fisher communities, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, research organizations, academia and private sectors to this endeavor. With these few words, I welcome all of you once again in this 2 days national workshop on voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries, and look forward to a very constructive dialogue. Thank you very much.